Hello and welcome to Movie Buffs, a show that covers the best action films of all time. I'm your host, Shani B. You can find me on all the socials at It's Me, Shani B.
And I'm your other host, Cisco, aka Misfit Minded. You can find me on Twitter at rampage_misfit and at my movie pages at misfit_minded on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, Threads, all that stuff. So, yeah.
Today we're talking about the 1998 film The Replacement Killers, directed by Antoine Fuqua and starring Chow Yun-Fat, Mira Sorvino, and Michael Rooker. If you
Yes.
If you haven't seen it, it's about a hitman who, after refusing to complete a contract to kill a kid, seeks help from a forger to help him outrun the hired hitman on his tail, and help him get papers to return to China. Pretty
Mm-hmm.
90s. Pretty 90s.
Pretty 90s. We'll talk about it. It's very, very 90s.
The 90s. What did you think? This was a blind spot for you, right? Like both of us hadn't seen this. Is that
Yeah.
right?
Both of us. Yep.
Amazing.
Uh,
Okay, tell me.
which is funny because I do have like the little like DVD insert like that I had in my old setup on my wall and stuff, like all these like little posters. So I had the replacement killers, but I never saw
Classic.
it.
Classic.
um, but yeah, like I liked it. I was very surprised. Like I guess my interpretation or like the reputation of it was like it's a John Woo knockoff, like an Americanized version or whatever. Like
Mm.
and so I kind of went in with that expectation, but and it is, but like I also think it does a very good job of like respecting like that style of movie making. And John Woo did executive produce this movie too. So I
Mhm.
think it like shows, and it's like it's not like a cheap like everyone trying to make a Tarantino movie after like Pulp Fiction or something like that. Like I think it's like a step above that. Um yeah, Chow Yun Fat is like certified action star. I mean, has there been anybody that looks cooler with guns than him? Like it's just unbelievable. And I think like we'll get into it in more detail, but just like we talk about like modern action and how like boring it can be, and I just felt like every set they went into, there was so much detail that went into it, and I could feel like the debris happening and all the explosions and the squibs going off on people. So it's like it's nonstop action, like gun violent action, and I enjoyed it. I was pleasantly surprised. What about you?
Oh, well, that is awesome to hear. All I ever want in this life is for people to watch movies and enjoy them. So, yay. um, I felt a little bit more like lukewarm on it or something, because I feel like what kind of stinks about having blind spots for movies I missed at a time in my life when it would have been helpful to add them to my repertoire kind of bums me out, because I can see all these movies within it, but then I have to like go run to IMDb and be like, what year is what? Who is influencing who? So that was
Hmm.
like a little disorienting here, but I could not deny that, the opening and the way the storytelling happens through images, and how like ambitious this film feels in terms of the filmmaking. Like it really has all these seeds that are going to lead to the John Wicks, but it is doing exactly what you said. I think it's taking what they've learned from sort of Hong Kong cinema and capturing kung fu, and started to try to figure out how to use those exact same camera tricks on guns, and also to heighten the emotion in scenes. Like, just so unique and not what I expected, because I guess I was expecting something really creative, but not quite this, even though I did really enjoy how creative this was. I I was expecting something way more straightforward. So, the amazing hints of John Woo, like with the slow-mo, but also the music that's like got me confused,
Oh
where there's a
yeah.
tension. Like there's something about how the way everything fits together in this is what made it enjoyable for me.
Hmm. Yeah, it's I think a lot of the Hong Kong movies, it's like very melodramatic and like and operatic in the way that it like unveils like the action basically complements that. And I do feel like that was this thing here. Like I mean, even I'm thinking of just certain images like at the very end when the bad guys like trying to escape, and then the doors slowly open up to reveal Chow Yun-Fat standing in the in front of it. And I was like, there's just like striking images like that. That's
Mhm.
like, it calls to mind like westerns, but also like, it's just like this is the guy, like he's him. And
Yes.
yeah, like I thought they did a really nice job of making him one of those kind of troubled heroes that we talk about, so often on here. But yeah, like you said, like it was a different kind of twist with like his mom and sister being the ones that are in danger.
Yep.
And then him having to like recruit Mia Sorvino to get back to China. So yeah, it's a very different take, but like, a lot of times when we compare like Jackie Chan's American movies, or like this is Chow Yun-Fat's like first American movie, it's like obviously it's not the movies they made over there like that quality, but you
Mm,
have to like look at it on a scale to where it's like, is it at least like competently made? Is it made in the same spirit? And I think it is. I think
agreed.
definitely is. Yeah.
For sure. I feel like that's why this movie is an entry and exists on like culture art for filmmaking and movies, because it really does do that. And it's a great entry to show you what we're trying to do when we transition an actor from a different market who comes with a genre and bring them into ours and try to have that inform cinema over here too. And so I think I also just get excited when I see those things and I remember these like waves that came through Hollywood across certain decades. And I think this movie really definitely gave me all the feels there. It had so much of my favorite things in filmmaking. Like, we didn't really use a lot of words if we didn't need to. We
No.
did so many inserts, guns, bellies, cocaine
Yes.
flying off of a knife because of a helicopter. Like,
Oh, I was gonna mention that. That was one of my favorite
yes.
shots of this whole movie. That was so sick.
It's so good, and it's at the top, so it
Yeah.
really just lets you know, "Here we go," and that's why I keep coming back to this idea of, like, the ambition of it, which is so much is being put into this with light and color and pace and music. It's amazing that it,
Mhm.
like, in at this stage in his career, even Fuqua's doing this kind of crazy shit. It's awesome.
Yeah, that was I think that shot in particular like really set the tone for me to be like, "Oh yeah, like we're in for we're in for a treat." Where like, yeah, the coke, like you see one guy doing a bump off the blade, and then yeah, the coke's like, "What's this?" The coke like just gusts from the
Perfect.
helicopter, which is like would never happen, but it looks fucking cool. Like
Yes.
that's what the thing is going for. And then like right off the top, you get like two shootouts basically with Michael Rooker killing this dude. Like, don't make me do it. You had one of those. Uh,
"Come on, man!"
yeah. And then the guy pulls a gun on him, has to shoot him, has to. And then, kind of mirroring that, Chow Yun Fat going into that club in that like 90s ass club beat.
Yes, classic.
And like a ghost, like he like appears and reappears and then puts the bullet on the table and just kills this guy in the middle of the club, John Wick style. And it's like, yeah, like you're saying, it's all these things that we recognize in today, but just with like a 90s flair. So yeah,
What a cool
I like the
detail
time
too.
portal. Yeah.
Yes, yes, the bullet that he brings around to let people know it's their
Yep.
turn is such a cool little
And it comes
detail.
back, everything comes back around too. So like at the end when he's about to kill the big bad, has to load in that bullet, just for him.
Mhm. So special,
Yep.
so fun, and, like, everything again that I want. I know all stories are not supposed to, like, perfectly create the circle and tie everything in a knot, but there's something, so amazing about when a movie doesn't have to and it still does, and that's what I got from this movie too, is that, like, it was a full circle where even though he didn't do so much talking, even though there wasn't a lot of exposition given, I still could see the entire journey of his character. I could still see even Mira Sorvino's character doing this, and kind of she's an interesting kind of character in this story because she's also so 90s.
Mhm.
Yeah, I guess like what are some of your maybe questions or things that tripped you up before we get into the filmmaking and the actors and stuff?
And this is a perfect transition. into this, but yeah, we haven't talked about Mia Sorvino yet, but I thought she was really good in this. Even though
Oh,
like yeah, like her fashion and stuff was like super 90s and like the attitude. But like yeah, like to your point about the lead not having to really talk that much, like that's why you get someone like Mia Sorvino to be a foil so they can do all the exposition. Just like in Rush Hour, you have Chris Tucker, doing all the
very true.
talking. So that's just like a classic like buddy cop guess kind of formula there. Um yeah, I guess my it's not really a plot hole. Like it's more of just like it's like a problem that happens a lot of times back in the day where like the Asian lead does not get to have a romantic interest, and like that was like my that it was so this like he doesn't even get a kiss, like in at the end he does like a little face touch, and it's like to me there was like such a simple solution if you wanted to go this route,
Hmm.
like that would have made me accept it more, and that's just if instead of his mom and his sister it was his wife and his daughter or something, so then
Yeah, because then at least, right, we would know that like the
he's
reason
spoken
he,
for. He's
yeah,
you know what I
yeah,
mean? And so but it was just such a weird choice. It's like, okay, he's single. He has this hot blonde chick here, super cool, giving him
yeah.
the eyes all the time. It's like basically saying like I care about you. I don't want to see you die.
Oh,
And nothing. And I was just like, man, like not even at the end, like so that was like my biggest thing. But it's I kind of expected it going in, but it's still disappointing every time that like your Jackie Chan or Chow Yun-Fat never gets to have that moment in these movies. And it's like it's such a simple, come on, one kiss, one thing, that's all you need. That's
yes,
it. Don't need a
yes,
whole
yes.
sex scene or anything like that. Nothing crazy.
Not
All I'm asking
always.
for, yeah.
Sometimes I
So,
do want that sex scene, right? You and I both know that like sometimes it's called
but
for.
this guy in particular was a man of honor, and he
Exactly. So
definitely
a
wouldn't have sex
smooch,
on the first date. So yeah. So in this instance, yeah,
I think.
kiss would have sufficed, I think.
Yeah, I guess that's, like, part of the Hollywood thing that I always appreciate too is, like, a big kiss at the ending if we're not gonna be able to do a meaningful romantic overture, even though I know it's, like, pretty heteronormative and, like, old school or
Yeah,
whatever. Just a s one smooch to be like,
one.
"This emotional thing that we went through is at least closed in this kiss." Like, we may never date, we may never do anything more than
And
this, but it's sort of like, we did share this, and we're both human beings who crave intimacy.
and that's the implication at the end. It's not like she's not going to go with him. You're going back to China. I'm probably never going to see you again. The kiss would have been the perfect goodbye, I
It's
felt like.
true. It's true. Yeah, there's something
So,
about how, really good action movies and like you mentioned, Westerns, they have that noir element in them, and I think that's also why I crave a little bit more tension or romance, but you're right, like, with Jackie Chan and Chow when they're coming over and transitioning in, I guess, like, they're welcomed in this interesting way because of what they're bringing to the field as well, so,
mhm.
yeah, I think I agree. I was thinking, "Whoa, what's this pair like?" They have a kind of chemistry, and I'm interested in seeing what that kind of chemistry looks like if it's authentic, but, like, that's where Hollywood always fails, is that, like, most of the sex scenes and most of the smooches are
Yeah.
not actually chemistry, so they're not, like, that good sometimes.
And I still will give them props that like, it's a problematic hostage situation during the first half,
Yeah, true.
to where but then, she kind of gets to know him, know his, morals, why he's doing what he's doing, and that he's actually trying to protect her once he gets her involved. I mean, like, you
Well, and I
know.
guess, like, we can't act as though when 2 people are going through something really scary, it doesn't create something between them. Because I think
Right.
that's part of this too, is, like, what's so 90s about her character that I love is that she's always being like, "Why are dudes telling me I need their help? I'm good. I'm good
Oh,
on
I thought
it."
you were gonna say it was the razor around her neck was the
That
was the
too.
90s.
That too. Don't even that too. 1 million
I was
percent.
like, Jesus.
I called an audible when I saw that. I was like, "Oh, razor around the neck, let's go."
Yeah.
Like, she is the most 90s, but it's true. It's sort of like that's the hard part about the 90s where women are saying and doing a lot of these things, but they're also still like technically a hostage and also like
Yeah.
completely trapped,
I do
regardless.
like I do like how she treated Loco though, because like Loco tries hitting on her like immediately, and
Yes.
she's like, "I like to stay within my own species."
Yeah, and
That
she like
was
holds him up.
hilarious.
She's like, "Shut up." She really
Yeah.
does dominate him.
Yeah, and, we should mention Fuqua. I think we haven't touched on that piece yet too, but, like, a lot of people in here, that, like, were in, like, Training Day.
Yeah.
I saw, like, in the and just, like, see like, his I think his specialty is, like, just setting up, like a scene where you don't know what's gonna happen, but you just have this uneasy like feeling that
Yes.
like something bad. Like Training Day has a couple of those, and like here it was like when
Yes.
they were going in to like buy the weapons, and then they all just like pull out, they're like
Yes.
try
Yes.
it, and it's
Yeah,
like
and
I
I
don't
was
know
thinking
how are they gonna get out of this? Like I don't know. And so he's just very effective at like setting a mood, I think. And again, like all the sets we'll talk about in more detail, I think just only adds to that like atmosphere.
And to your point, I was thinking while I was watching this that, like, when directors have certain actors that come around with them or join them on more than one project, it really speaks to, like, that special thing where a director is really capable of capturing something an actor is doing that's very special. And I think a lot of the time that tension of, like, something is going to happen, but I'm not really sure what. I don't
I
know
love that
why.
feeling. I love that
Sometimes
feeling.
it's
Yeah.
because it's contained in the actor's performance that's, like, being captured and, like, especially all those scenes with Loco, like that guy is like, I can bring on edge anywhere we go. Like whatever movie you want to put me in or show, like I got you, I've got on edge for you to capture on camera.
Mhm.
And I feel like that's why he works all the time because he's such a good
That
staple
guy,
of
yeah.
this. And I love him in the 90s too.
Yeah, he's
Stellar in
such
the
a
90s.
scumbag, and like, like as soon as
Next
she
level.
rejects him, you knew he's gonna like snitch. I knew it immediately.
Of
I'm like,
course. Of
God.
course.
But then like when they, basically rob him for all his weapons at the end, I didn't feel bad at all. I was like, fuck this guy. Like,
See,
uh,
people pay, right? This was a Hollywood movie in the end, and like the
yeah.
bad guys are made to pay.
Yeah, he also has this kind of like karmic thing, I guess, going on in all his movies too. So yeah, so the bad guys have to pay. Um, and this was his feature debut, just like Chow Yun-Fat, his American debut. This was his feature debut. He had done like music videos, and I
So
think that
ambitious.
like slickness comes across like very well
Hmm.
in this one, to where like, and it doesn't like overpower the story, I guess, too, which is like a kind of a danger you can run into with music video directors. But yeah, I thought like, I don't know, it's just like when we talk about like certain set pieces, and like there's the car wash one, we can get into like some of the specifics. The car wash one was so amazing.
Oh,
Like,
I loved it.
him on the roller, like the and like
Yes, yeah,
shooting up
sliding
at
all around.
people. Yeah,
Mhm.
it was so amazing. I liked her apartment, Mia Sorvino's apartment. It was just like all these like film stock, like just reels hanging down,
Yes.
and like red and green lit rooms. Like it was just like it was never boring to look at, which is like I feel like that a lot of times in modern action movies. I'm just like, this is just CGI blob grayness, and
True.
I'm just like, I was just for even like the most mediocre 90s action movie, I'm just like, at least this has a sense of
Details.
environment. Yeah, like
Well,
at
it
least
has details.
yeah.
Yeah. It actually cares about building its world, even if its world, for some reason, in every 90s movie, is people that seem to have a lot of money secretly living in decrepit buildings.
Oh yeah. Yeah, her part,
But,
no,
like,
I'm not
that's
saying her apartment
cool.
was nice,
But,
but
like, that's cool. That's actually that is more exposition, and I think people have forgotten that nowadays, where, like, that's the gift of a music video director is they're not allowed to use dialogue to tell you who
right.
these characters are, so they are very good at making sure that, like, the film strips are the right color, you know?
And that setup and payoff in that apartment scene, I really love that first apartment scene where, you see him on the camera, she's seeing him on the monitor. She's
Mhm.
like, "Who is it?" He's like, "I'm here for so and so." She's like, "Never heard of her." kind of testing him out, and he finally like passes the test, even though she has like the gun underneath the table, again setting up
Be
what
cool.
could go down at any moment. And then the bad guys show up, and she does the same exact who is it, never heard of
Hmm.
her, but then this time it's like a full-on shootout. So it's like, the environment, like her reaction to it, but then this time something's different,
Hmm.
and they just completely shoot her apartment to shit.
It's true. It's true.
But it's cool. I liked it, and they even go back to that like later, and I just was like, yeah, I mean, that apartment set was awesome.
All
Not
the
mad at that
sets
at
were
all.
awesome.
Yeah.
Everything was really decked out, and I appreciated that for sure, because I think it's what, just like you said before, and what I think really stands out to me is it just elevates each of the emotional stakes in the sequence too. Like, my favorite, I think, like stunt and sequence together is driving the limo backwards when he's trying to escape down the alley, and there's just like no way. That's a
Mm-hmm.
real car trying to
Yeah.
do that, in this alleyway, backing up, hitting the walls. Just so, like, such a thrilling scene to watch, because that alley looks like a real alley or feels like a real alley. That's a real car. All this is really happening.
And to you said at the top like that this was like a lot more, it's not as simple as other actioners. I really like that. Like, like a simple action movie, it would have been like, you need to kill the guy that killed my son, and
Yes.
they set that up like that's what's gonna happen. And so like at first I'm like, oh, okay, he doesn't want to kill Michael Rooker because he's next to his son. And then the twist is, no, he wants him to kill this little boy in front of the dad. And it was like,
Yes.
I was not expecting that. And again, that's like setting up the villain to be like, oh, this guy's a straight up piece of shit. Like,
Mhm.
and he does not care about killing kids.
No.
And so when he gets his just desserts at the end, falls in that amazing fall down the stair, like so many stories, and they slow mo it and from different angles. And I was like, yes, I love this. I miss this.
Yes,
So
drinking it up, being able to
yeah.
drink up these big bursts and sequences. Because there's something about that too, where it's like, I don't need a half an hour sequence of action that never stops always, right? Like, thank you, Extraction, I
I was just
appreciate
gonna
that
say Extraction
sometimes.
2 though will
Yeah.
make an exception.
Right. Well, there's a time and a place, right? But is definitely a time and a place for understanding like how pacing can still keep an action scene either alive or stretch it out in a meaningful way. And I think the final sequence of this movie does that. And every sequence leading up is sort of slowly building to that style of finish, which
Hmm.
again, that's why I want the bow. It's a reward when we get
Yeah.
to the end. And I want that reward. Sorry, but I want that
I
reward.
also think that I kind of was wondering if it would be easier. I don't know. I was like, there's so much for him to go back to China. I was wondering, like, wouldn't it be just easier to bring his family to America?
Yeah,
Like,
like, couldn't he
there
be
was,
in witness protection now, like, after
yeah.
everything he's been through and protect his family?
And I loved Rooker. We didn't talk about him yet as much,
So
but
good.
we got Goatee Rooker. Rooker is such a good character actor. I love him in the good parts he plays, like in this one. And he plays a Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, and he can go full on psychotic in that.
Yes.
And he's just so good at that. So when I do like when character actors like that do get to play like a good heartwarming guy though. And so like in this one, I
Yes.
was just like, man, like I love this guy. I don't even know much about him. I just know he loves his son. He was doing his job as a cop, and he's like, he's a good cop. He's not corrupt. He's just doing his job.
I don't know, he seems like I mean, but that's a testament to Michael Rooker, right? Like, he's still
Yeah.
giving this guy kinds of layers, even though he's a closer to simple cop role, and
Maybe he's like a
Rooker
little
brings more.
aggressive, but like he doesn't deserve for his son to be killed. Is what I'm saying. Like
No. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't very cool of him to be like, "I came to pay my respects at your
that
family
was
funeral." That
yeah,
was a
that was
little.
I could not believe that. Like I was like, yeah, you shouldn't have done that. Was rubbing salt in the wound. I wouldn't have done that. But
But you're right, like,
yeah,
Rooker as a good guy is always shocking to me. I'm
I
always
know.
expecting him to, do
And this is
something bad or
like
turn, and not here, not
this is
cliffhanger.
cliffhanger
Surprising.
era Rooker, like this is like I was like, man, like I cannot believe. And some of the other supporting characters I want to bring up, Danny fucking Trejo is in this. how did I not know this? Like,
Yes,
what?
looking like the Allentown brothers from Keanu, him and the other guy. Those are the actual replacement killers,
No,
which I
yeah.
didn't see
I
coming.
didn't know that. I thought Chow Yun-Fat was gonna be the titular replacement killer. Did not know
Same.
it was gonna be Danny Trejo and this other dude. So yeah, Con Air era Danny Trejo
Let's
in this
go.
thing. The other guy, it took me a minute. If you can picture
From
him right
Bond?
now, I don't know if he's from Bond, but there's one trivia question I want to pose to you. I figured it out last night, and I was like, I'm gonna surprise you.
Okay.
If you don't know it, it's okay. It took me a minute. The other guy, tall, blonde, German-looking dude,
Mm-hmm.
uh, is in another action movie that has a finale in a movie theater, just like this one, from an auteur. I guess that would be.
Oh, darn.
Took me a
Oh,
minute, but I've seen it so many times. I was like, once it clicked, I was like,
there
okay,
it
I
is.
know where it is. Yeah,
Dang. He was so familiar to me, but I couldn't quite place him. I knew I'd seen him somewhere, but I couldn't
yeah.
quite place him. Dang, because now all I see is The Last Action Hero, so I'm stuck in the wrong movie.
Just say the word.
What
Say
is
the
it?
word.
What movie?
Inglorious Bastards. He is one of the bastards in
Oh,
Inglorious Bastards.
that the second you say it, I'm like, "Oh, there's the hat, there's the
He's
clothes, now I
the.
see him."
I think he bites it in the basement scene with Fassbender and all those
Yeah.
guys.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
but he just
so
has such
good.
a striking face that it was killing me. I was like, I know this guy from somewhere. He's tall, blonde dude.
Yep.
I've seen him, and yeah, once it clicked, I was like, yeah,
V
cool.
effective too. Got a briefcase
Yeah.
with a gun in it.
Oh, dude, that was so sick. Yes, like that was reminding me of like Desperado with the
Hell
the
yeah.
instrument cases. Like, always love when a suitcase or something like that is a weapon.
The creativity, right? Like you expect something maybe grounded, you get that here too, but then also you get these amazing surprise creative moments.
Yeah, and like just the finale in the movie theater too, I thought was like another well done. You didn't know what was gonna happen, how they were gonna save, Rooker and his kid who are just trying to
Mhm.
see this cartoons on the big screen. uh,
Right, just
uh, and so they yell at him to get down, and then there's like a huge shootout while they're using the seats for cover. Thought that was really cool. And then also the other set I wanted to shout out is the arcade set. Love me an
Yes.
arcade.
Such a good
Love
sequence.
it's just such a good source of lighting, that like
Good
neon
color.
lighting and color. And there's the scene where, again, no dialogue, where Mia Sorvino, they're kind of giving each other like signals, and then
Yep.
he's like basically like run across now, and she runs across like one of those rides where you can see through it with the curtain or whatever, and then
Yes.
Trejo comes and shoots, like tries to shoot, and it's just such a cool place again for a shootout, that like it's not a boring warehouse that we've seen a million times.
Exactly.
It's full of imagination and
And real.
energy.
It's all
Yeah,
real, right? Like, it's all a set that is built that they are using, and that can't be understated in when we watch these older movies. Because I know, like, there's new shit, and we review that, and we're paying attention to that too, but in these
yeah.
older movies, it's so nice to go back and be like, "Wow,"
Love it. You just
there's a
touch it
reason
and go
why
out and
there's yeah, yeah, there's a reason why there's
yeah.
a bunch of people in the street being like, "Please let us keep making awesome movies."
Yeah, for sure.
Nice.
Um,
All
yeah,
right,
what
cool. Yeah, I want to know your favorite kill because I have a funny one. So, if you can think of it, what was maybe your favorite kill, or I guess like all the kills are great. So,
why don't you go first? You go first.
okay, so my favorite kill
Yeah.
is when they're doing the parking garage chase, and this lady in a suburban, I'll call her Karen because she's just a very random white lady placed in the
I know
story.
exactly who you're talking
She's
about.
backing out, total wrong place, wrong time, lit her up with squibs.
Oh
Loved it.
my
Out loud
god.
laughed. I was like, "This is needless, but I will never forget it." And so that's my
Oh
favorite.
my god. That's a good one. I didn't even think about that. I mean, maybe mine might be the bad guy falling, because I was just like, I kind of was nervous for it. I'm like, we've seen this a million times, but the way they shot it, and like, from under him and different angles, and slowed it down to where you like see him the whole way, I was like, that was pretty impressive for like
Yeah,
90s, you know, like and some of these where I go like Die Hard, that's still an amazing fall from the
Oh,
villain.
yeah.
So I always love a good fall like that. I guess a stunt, like a funny stunt that stuck with me, I wrote this one down, um, was him and Mia Sorvino are fighting, kind of arguing in the apartment. Again, she's a hostage,
Right.
understandably. She's
Correct.
upset, and she throws an ashtray at him, and he breaks the ashtray with the butt of his gun. And I was just
Hell
like,
yeah.
again, these moments that I'm just like, damn, they didn't have to go that hard. They did not have to go that hard for this like argument, but the actions telling the story rather than the dialogue, we love to see it. So
It's the best. There's nothing better. And so for a blind spot, this was a good one for us to
I think
pick.
this is a hidden gem. This is yeah. I can't believe this isn't streaming anywhere. That was kind of disappointing, but yeah, I would highly recommend. I mean, I'm a Fuqua fan, like too.
Totally.
I love Training Day.
Mm.
What was there was one on TV the other day that was just playing on like VH1 or something, and I just
I mean, he did all
Brooklyn's
the
Finest, is that what it's
oh,
called? Yeah, so
yeah.
that was just on TV, and like Ethan Hawke was in there like confessing to the priest, and I just was like, I was pulled in. I was
Yep.
like, I was flipping through, and I put it on, and like I watched at least like 15 minutes of it
It's
because it's
true.
so
It's
good. Like
true.
he's
It's
just so good at that style of gang movie and like
like
LA set with
gritty.
yeah grittiness. Yeah,
Yeah, this is like
so
arguably the tamest of his work if I think about it, you know, like his work only
which
gets
is still
more
like crazy
rough
because
and
it's just super
amplified.
violent. Like,
Exactly,
hella
so
people
that's
die in this
definitely saying
movie.
something. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm a huge fan. I liked that movie he did with Jake Gyllenhaal and Riley Keough a few years ago, like during the pandemic. It was like a really small Gyllenhaal on the phone with Keough the entire time, and all I
Oh,
can think is Michael Bay's Ambulance right now, so I can't find the title in my head.
I know what you're
But
talking.
that was
It was
good.
a remake. It was a remake of a movie. So but I never saw that. But yeah, I have to check
It's
that one
good.
out still.
It's
And the
good.
Equalizer. That's the other one I was trying to think of. I love the
Yes, that
Equalizer.
those are yeah, we got the newest one coming soon, so we'll obviously we'll
We have
review
to
it.
do
We'll check
that.
those
Yeah,
trailers as we get
that's a
closer.
given. Denzel as an action star. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. So
It
yeah.
really doesn't. It really doesn't. Awesome, awesome. All right, cool. Anything else before we wrap up?
No, I think that's it. That's all I got.
Awesome. Okay, cool. All right, that wraps it up for us. Let's remind the people where they can find us.
Yeah, get your fix and follow the show at We Stay Buff on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. Follow me on Twitter at rampage_misfit and on my movie pages at misfit_minded on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all that good stuff. And kind of a new announcement, I guess, I'll just drop here. My website is officially live. So
Yay!
misfitminded.com. You can check it out.
Congrats.
All my reviews. Got some of our videos up on there too. So yeah,
Nice.
check it out.
Congrats. All right, that's
Thank you.
awesome, man. Nice. Cool. All right. Well, take us for a ride and subscribe to the podcast on Spotify and Apple. And please leave a review. 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars. And then you can just follow me personally on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook at It's Me, Shani B. All right. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Hope to catch you next time on another edition of Movie Buffs. Stay buff.
Buff.
Awesome. All right.